Sergio Studios. Extra. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Sergio Dominguez with another art look through, and this one's going to be an art look through for my recent short animated tour. Yeah, this was a short that I recently released. I've been working on for, as you can see, 5 years, and we're going to look at the specific hand-drawn paper artwork of animated tour. So let's begin. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. We start off with the character that started it all for this short. Bezquo! I made a production vlog of animated tour, and in that production vlog, you get to see some of these drawings, these early drawings of me trying to put together this character, Bezquo. So as you can see, he looks very different than you finally saw him in the short. You can see when I drew him and dated him and signed him, because I know this is a very special character, and I just want to record this moment. Record that very special moment of how Bezquo came to be. So we got this one, then this one, and I just made some fun little drawings of situations of this character. He's inspired by a couple of wacky cartoon characters. If you can take a look, you know what I'm talking about. But when I was designing Bezquo, I want him to be a very simple yet easy and also fun to animate character. Very important that he needed to be fun to animate, because I'm going to be the one hand drawing every frame of Bezquo. So I want him to be easy to draw and fun to draw, you know, off of these typical models. That's why he's just like a cartoon character that's just like bean shaped, big eyes, oval eyes, nose, you can go like you know. But there was a point where I drew him too simple with just like him being oval and bean shaped. You know, I try to deviate it just a little bit, but yeah. But I knew through the short he's going to go through some emotions, some strong emotions and poses. So I also wanted to draw him with some raw emotions and also test the POV, because the big challenge with animated tour is that this is the first 360 animated video that I've ever done where it's immersive. You wear the goggles and you take a nice look. So while I was designing Bezquo, I was designing, you know, the control panel, dashboard that he has, and tried to figure out that POV that you're going to have, because this cartoon, like Cinema Tour, is inspired by those motion simulator theme park rides that are screen-based, that have a POV to them, so it makes it feel like you're really there. And I just wanted to see if I can do that with this character, this time hand-drawn and more cartoony than the last one. Sure, push all this. Some nice pen doodles, like yee, nice and wacky. And then I got to do some really nice facial expressions with this character. Look at him. Look at this guy. Like more doodles. I think I used a nice pen. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. Because he was going to go through a gamut of extreme emotions. So I did try to think of a plot and ideas while doing that to really show the cartoony facial expressions of this character. So intense I couldn't even pronounce it properly. Some concept art like, there's Bezquo, there's his vehicle, and there's a camera. The ride system. Yeah, some concept art. More facial expressions of this guy. Another idea of like, oh yeah, yeah, and that big yes mouth, you know. And yeah, he has like no clothes, but the clothes was later on. But I had to focus on his body type and how what was he going to animate and what was he going to keep. And he'll end up having gloves and stuff, but I want to get the shape of it. And I was getting close. As you can see, we're getting to the final design of, okay, if I can't have it be Bean because I think it's too simple and maybe too similar to another cartoon character, I decided let me do 2 circles that are the same size as the head, and one in the middle. So obviously 3 circles, but head size, slightly smaller for the middle torso. And I want him to have nice bulbousy cartoon shoes, later on cartoon gloves, and yeah, the vehicles he's in. All right, here's another concept of what the experience would be. I want to start off with a tunnel scene. So like, let's go! And here we are. Look at that. We were getting there. I remember I was getting there. But as you can see, the change I would end up making later on is the nose. Because I like big, bulbousy, cartoony noses in cartoons. So I was like, I want to give him a nice, big, bulbousy nose. And have it be a circle all on its own. But I kind of found out that maybe drawing the nose all the time, a complete circle, even if I try to like give it its own layer and just, you know, keyframe it while hand drawing everything else, might be a little bit too much and maybe not, yeah, it might be too complicated and maybe not original enough. So I ended up reducing it to later on to a C nose, which we'll get to soon during the drawing development here. Here he goes. And I was drawing in whatever, as you can see, sketchbook paper, scrap paper, loose leaf, notebook paper. But look at that Bezquo. Oh. And I also wanted, you know, bing, 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 3 hairs. That classic cartoon design. And you're like, ooh, ooh. Again, extreme emotions, like, yeah. Yeah. That's right. Me. This never ended up being in the final cut, but I was like, yeah. What would that look? You see? And we just a couple of hand poses here, like, you know? More facial expressions. Like this, how do I put that in? But I was like, let me put my nose here. Yeah. Let's go. Another drawing of Bezquo, now with his uniform. Again, I want it to be like, I thought it should be a vest, pants, and a name tag. So got that design. More facial expressions with this character. Yeah. Yeah. This is like another test of me of like, how am I gonna make a 360 animated cartoon when I have some 2D animation software and no CGI at all. So I was trying to still figure that out, but I was like, okay, Bezquo's going to be here and the whole world is going to be here. So I was getting there too. See? Another one is like, right here. This is me figuring out the locations. So I think I was drawing like, whoa, a street and a town. Again, another idea of street and town. Him getting upset. Me. I just love drawing this pose, as you can see. So I was trying to just figure it out. Him, like, again. Me. Yeah. Trying to get in, still has that bulbousy nose, but we're getting there. Another one that didn't make it into the cut. Like, no. There we go. Apparently I gave him 5 hairs at one point, but I was like, oh, let me stick to 3. Huh? Yeah. No. A little bit of control panel. More Bezquo drawings. I'm like, hey. Alright, Bezquo again. With that early design. Give him 5 hairs at one point. But I think there's also separate pieces just to see how they look separate. Me, hey, yeah. Oh, this one's cute. Again, trying to test out the POV. Yeah, me drawing different locations and effects. Early designs of the locations. Animated tour. Oh man, that is really animated and toury. And this one is Bezquo. Trying to figure out that name, so it ended up being Bezquo. Another early Bezquo drawing, but here we go. We got to one of the more final changes of Bezquo, where his nose is now like a big C. And we're getting there, but his eyes were a little too small, but I just want a model good enough because I was obviously going to go so cartoony that he was going to be off model constantly, especially with the emotions. So that's what ended up happening with Bezquo. Got another version of early Bezquo, but we stick to 3 instead of 5 hairs. Then going, you. Oh yeah, nice gag of him like puffing angrily, which ended up being the final gag, but with different designs. Ah, I got his nose a little bit smaller. You can see here. And more fun facial expressions. Whoa. Yeah. Ooh. Drawing this character was fun, just because he was like a simple cartoon character. Yeah. So fun. So fun to doodle this little guy. Again, like, phew. Tunnel. Building. Spikes in the back. Yeah, like some dark spikes. I think that would be like, I think it's stop motion. I can't remember, but this one was a little too off, but again, a nice doodle. Whoa! Oh, whoa. I don't think I drew with one tooth at all, but what fun attempt. Let me see here. Okay, with this is a printout of the map that was going to be 360 in Animated Tour, because I found out these 4 squares are the center of Bezquo, because I found out how to mathematically take that 16.9 aspect ratio that I have in Toon Boom, and with the free software that converts any video into a 360 video, I figured out with this grid that I made, which is just made out of a bunch of 16:9 aspect ratio squares. 1, 2, 3, 10, 10, 100. They're all pretty much the same kind of size as the 16.9 aspect ratio. I figured out what's going to be curved and what's going to be the least curved. So it was like shaped in that weird way where the most focus is going to be here. So all Bezquo's animation was within that range. And you see that red square? That's Bezquo's animation, and everything else was environment. So I made a digital one, but decided to print out a couple of examples. Like this one, because I thought at some point, maybe when I need to use this when I hand draw animated, even though I had it digitally done. But I was like, let me print a couple of sheets. Maybe I might need it. Here's another example. Also, actual pencil drawings for me to figure out the whole like mechanics and art of where Bezquo's going to go, where's the environment going to go, when later on it gets converted to 360 video. So this was a lot to develop. The development took on and off for about a good 4 years. Got this one. I think they're all the same, but yeah, they're all the same because maybe I needed to get some real paper and see if I can figure out physically through paper and pencil. But I figured most of it out digitally. Yeah. That line was me trying to realize, okay, where's the cutoff for the vehicle that you're going to be in? Because from here to here, I don't have to worry about animating because it's the base of the vehicle that you're going to be in. Just to focus on Bezco and the environment here. So that was very important. I made a smaller printout of it for something else, but I ended up not using it. But it was fun for a little example. Like, all right, these are the official Bezco animation drawings that are done with tracing paper and pen. For a lot of Bezco's certain key poses that I wanted to make, it was done in so many different ways. Sketchbook drawings, I scanned in Toon Boom. Some the rough sketchbook paper drawings that I love so much, I decided not to ink them. Instead, I would take tracing paper, put it over it, get marker, and just outline trace it, keep it, scan it into the software, and put it in. In this case, this didn't make it, but I really like it. It's like, and maybe there were times where I didn't need to animate the feet, so it was like this. But that was that one. So let me see if I can show this. This drawing. A lot of this you can already see from Animated Tour. Some of these are recognizable, like, take this back. Oh, darn it. Other key poses of Bezco were done in other softwares like Krita and somewhere else, but a lot of it was in Krita too. That I just took and then brought into Toon Boom. I love this one, so it's like so big. Oh, this one's nice. Yeah. But it's fun to draw this character off model, as you can see. He's off here and here, but it's so fun. So much fun to draw. Super cartoony movements. Like that. Let's go here in that print example of the grid. Say, Another example of this, and maybe I needed more for more like examples, but I ended up doing it all digitally. But it was nice to get a couple examples. More wacky Bezco drawings. Alright, we're getting some of the more official drawings, production drawings, like the base, where it's like this and this. We have some sketchbook drawings that I took and put it here and hole punched it right over here. Bezco in pieces for maybe if There was a point where I thought maybe some shots could be rigged, but I was like, no, don't worry. There were a couple of shots that were rigged assist, but the character wasn't 100% rigged. He was drawn in layers, but I wanted to be sure he was still, for the most part, hand-drawn animated with some cheats and shortcuts if you saw. And just still make him as cartoony and hand-drawn looking as possible. So there wasn't really like a digital cutout rig of Bezquo. Alright, the tunnel scene. I wanted to start off with you going like, BAM! And I got that. Another example of maybe rigged Bezquo, but no. Another doodle of Bezquo. This was Bezquo's uniform, because I was trying to figure out how to not hand draw his uniform because it's so much detail, so much to focus on. Later on, I figure out, let me design like this map of his uniform, and then just somehow keyframe animate that and just have that be a mask tool and render it that way. So it's consistent, his uniform, while being super cartoony. So that was a trick I got around with that, so I didn't have to draw the uniform all the time. Animated tour. Animated tour. Me trying to figure out each letter. If you saw the thumbnail and title of animated tour is gonna be like this. Try to have everything be like a style. Give you a good hint of what it's gonna be. Tunnel. Oh yeah, this again, the tunnel scene, and originally the tunnel scene was going to be done with a 360 camera on a special rig, and it was going to like somehow slide down. I didn't know how. Like, I don't know if I was going to rig it in a way, or maybe have it on a special table and I just tilt it and it'll just slide down. And that was going to be the beginning scene, the tunnel scene. The first location you're in, I was like, let's go! But then I realized I can't do it, and I think there was a technical reason why. I think it really was because you had to go through here, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I was saving this 360 effect for that last big stop motion cave tunnel, because I think that was easier to solve than just this. Yeah, there was like a technical reason why. Or maybe a design reason. But maybe because also the tunnel had to be so long, maybe I didn't have space. It was some reason. But it was like early ideas to try to do the tunnel scene in the beginning. But I went for digitally, but I used it more for like the most important part, the stop motion cave tunnel. This is a more final version of Bezquo's uniform. A more refined Bezquo design. Huh? I think these, let me see. Yeah, this Bezquo drawing was one of the Bezquo drawings that you just saw, I think, on tracing paper, because there were some that I loved so much I didn't want to ink it and ruin this nice pencil outline. So some of them I just put tracing paper and outlined it around. Yeah. Alright, this is some of the drawings from the control panel. The base. Alright, and this is part of the thumbnail. A for animated tour. So that's, one of the textures for animated tour. N for animated tour. M for animated tour. T. Better not spill this. E. D. Pencil for the eye. Tour. Yeah, this was like early designs for that logo, for the logo thumbnail. A little bit of that. Another one of those. Yep. Oh. Sketchbook poses of status quo that I outlined. I love this one so much. There was a point in production where I forgot to put in something to have this pose happen, so I quickly recorded it and just inserted it in while I was animating. His very first pose. Another one of those, like, it's like, whoa, I didn't want to, like, erase this, so I was like, tracing paper. That'll do the trick. This one, this was in pieces, but I ended up, putting it together in Toon Boom. But I was like, same thing here. Again, I love this. So, outline treats it is. With this one, you can see here, but I was like, I don't want to put outlines over here, so I drew them separately here. Then put them later into Woom. There we go! Whoa! Yeah, there was also like mouths and eyes that were also put separately. This one I drew in ink. I think maybe did I erase this? Yeah, maybe I did erase it, and then with this one. And he goes like, oh, 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 oh. Here's some drawings that ended up just being final marker drawings. And you can see which one's rough, which one's doodly. And I, again, use different kinds of paper. Printer paper, this one, like, sketchbook paper that I took from a sketchbook that I just like, yeah, rip out the paper and use that for that. Punched a couple of holes. Whoa! Whoa! And again, whoa! And then put it together later on in production. This part was like, okay, we have Bisco here, but he's going to move his eyes, so I was just like, move the eyes. Even put in the nose, too. Oh, the lightning part when the base, the dashboard was breaking. Me trying to mathematically understand, animated tour and the whole chart, what's centered and all that stuff. Even this one, let's see, yeah, this is I think for the software when I was doing this 5.6. Yeah, this is like these are like notes of like trying to mathematically figure all this out. Of scale, 5 key proportions, camera HD. Yeah, all that stuff. Now, when I was done with Bezco's animation, that's when I got to the locations of Animate Tour. And I just looked, made a list of what locations he can go. When I started mapping out the locations, what they could be, and there you go. You have right here. It's like, okay, tunnel, tunnel, tunnel. Some things didn't make it, like gears. Gears didn't make it. This shot, because I want to go to, like, wipe his hand around, like, whoa! Or in this case, whoa! And I was like, let him have him here, pupils here, and try to figure it out there. Okay, so there was a point where I just added some extra things and redo this. Yep, I re-recorded Color Pencil City because the audio wasn't good there. The Color Pencil City kind of thing. Yeah, these were notes that I ended up doing, like change legs, sure, and all that stuff. Unless I didn't change that note. That was the design of the entrance. What you don't see is like, welcome. This one, okay, here we go with this one. This right here, like again, when I was done with Bezco's animation, I got to the locations. So the whole cartoon that I got to animate with Bezco was 3,240 frames, 24 frames per second. So I listened to the audio recording, and I had to break down all these frames into like what's a location. So frame 1 to 32 is the portal room, the first room, and it's there for only 342 frames. And I had to just do that location and just map out when and how many frames. When, how many frames. What location, when, how many frames. And then put a square here because I have to animate it. And when I'm done, ding, ding, ding. Check it out. So here's the first 30. And here's the other 15. So it was like 45. I put up to 45 even though credits is not location, but it ended up being a location just because, end credits needed to also be 360 set. But that's when the whole cartoon was done. Trying to break down all the animation. It was insane, but it was fun. That was like a fun day. So this was during the animation of Color Pencil City. I thought I maybe had to map it out because if you saw the Color Pencil City location was a lot of frames. Let me see, where was it? Yep, 358 frames, give or take. So I had to make 357 or 8 individual drawings, which we'll get to in a second. And I thought maybe I had to like make a special list to like check mark it, but I ended up doing it, and I'll show you how. Another design of the entrance, where you start off. When we went to the Animal Toon City, I was like, let me in the last second draw like a little lion gag of this lion wanting to eat a Bezquo. Again, love the roughs. Love the rough pencil drawings. Another like lightning bolt sample. And I drew this also last second, like, there. Yeah, this was like at the end when he's like, there we go, whoa. Just quickly drew all this in marker. By that point, I was like in the home stretch. I think it was literally 24. I gotta check later. Let's see. Let me check real quick, because this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. That's right. It was 24 frames per second. So it just made 24 drawings. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. There it is. All right. So we're getting to the tunnel scene. And this was a special scene because it was three-dimensional. It was cardboard construction paper, tape, glue, mostly tape. And put in the 360 camera inside and just went around. And I still had to map out how to like have it go and how many frames, which was that many frames. But even with this, I didn't really follow it. I just clicked and just figure it out and timed it that way. And really, it wasn't necessary, but it was fun to figure out anyway. Again, mapping it out, but it ended up mattering less. Because I really couldn't get the box diagram of the tunnel scene. Look at that. Yeah, trying to figure out like top view. Almost there. And we got me just mapping out the end credits of Animated Tour. Gonna see how that worked. Like what software, all me, and all that stuff. Now, you see. Also want to point out, when I was making the tunnel, the stop motion tunnel, I cut this hole that was the size of the 360 camera. And this circle was for the puck light, the size of the puck light. I just cut them and kept it. with the cardboard box, and it was like that. Now for this, these are all 300 and 357 frames of the Color Pencil City of Animated Tour, and just want to show it to you from here because it was so many drawings, and I had to figure it out. So I was like, I got to put in groups of like the first 300 in its own group, and then the last 57. And then I had to scan each and every one of them. It took 3 days to just hand draw animate this. I used like a special color pencil. Color pencils, actually. Those special color pencils that have different colors on them. So it already has a vibrant, like, multicolor look to it. Because I still had to do it quick, cheap. And also, I didn't want to do like a full paper. So I took papers and just cut it like 1/4 of the size, and just so I wouldn't waste that much paper because it was going to be a lot of drawings. So I saved space, saved myself some time by doing those shortcuts, but left with me a lot of drawings, stacks and stacks of drawings, as you can see. I can take them all out, and you can see them through Animated Tour. So just want to show you that. It was 3 days to animate and another 3 days to scan them all into the computer. And there you go. That was all of the artwork of Animated Tour. And that was just only the ones done in pencil and paper, as you can see here. Because there was even more, obviously, digitally. Because of how technical it was and how much I needed a lot of digital technology to pull off such a complicated kind of cartoon. It was ambitious, it was big, but I loved it. And I put it in like a masterpiece of mine, and it still has a lot of potential for more, which I hopefully get to do in the future. But yeah, I started production here, finished it here, and then released it on that day. And there it is out in the world, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed my little but big art look through of Animated Tour. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to, follow me on my social media networks. And again, thank you. I am Sergio Dominguez saying, have an animated day.